Hey, business building warrior, it's your buddy Jim. Have an episode today with a guest. That means we also turned on the cameras so you can see us on YouTube if you're not used to watching our episodes. Or if you just listen, that's fine. Enjoy the conversation on your free podcast listening app, whichever one you happen to use. Or you can jump to silentjim.com. That's where you'll see a link to today's episode on YouTube, as well as links to all of our past episodes, most of which aren't on YouTube. If you're watching us on YouTube today, you should know you're missing a lot because most people just listen to our show and most of our episodes are audio only. But today we have a guest who recently found over 1,000 profitable products to sell on Amazon in 5 weeks. And he's going to tell us exactly how he did it. And it's not complicated. It's something you could go do right now within an hour or two after you listen to this show. That's assuming that you understand the Replens business model. Now, if you don't understand Replens yet, you need to get the Proven Amazon course, provenamazoncourse.com. Study the Replens module. That's where we start the vast majority of Amazon sellers around the world who join our community and want to get started. That's where we start them. That's finding products that are available, easily available to you online or on store shelves near you. If you live outside the US, you can shop in the US online, have these products delivered to a prep partner. It's not complicated. Many people do this, but these products are so readily available, so much so that Dennis, our guest today, was able to find 1,000 of them in 5 weeks. Pretty incredible how he did it. And just to give you a little sneak peek, he hired a VA and spent about 3 hours with them, then turned them loose. That's the secret. You'll hear it as part of the story here as we dive into this episode, though. I love that he's had some really incredible months lately. His goal for 2021, as we're approaching the end of July, as I'm recording this, his goal is about $700,000 in sales. He gets about a 100% ROI on his money. That's after all expenses. Right? So he's putting in 5 and getting out 10 on a regular basis. That's his business model, using the models that we teach around here, specifically the Replens model, the Replens Amazon selling strategy. He's got a background in technology and he's done some real estate, but now he's all in full-time on his Amazon business. He's got a great little team that's doing big numbers. And I think you're going to be inspired by this story. So let's jump over and get Mr. Dennis Hertzler on the line. You're going to love this episode. And hey, one thing before we do that, if you don't mind, please share silentjim.com with a friend as your way of paying us back. We don't do any marketing for this show. The way we spread the word is when you tell others about this program. So if you know of someone that's trying to make a little extra money, or maybe they want to shift their life into a direction where they have the financial freedom to be able to do the things that they love with their time, they want to spend their time on whatever causes or with their family or pursuing their passions, hey, how about you get some financial support under that and learn how to sell on Amazon in your spare time, just like Mr. Dennis Hertzler does. Let's get him on the line right now. You're going to enjoy this. So Dennis, welcome to the show. Good to have you here.
Thanks, Jim. Hey, it's great to be here. It's a thrill.
Hey, this is really cool for us too, man. It took a while to get these set up sometimes, but it's good to finally hang out with you a little bit. I want to get right into your story. I can't wait to hear it.
Sure, great. So, a big part of my story is I'm married to a wonderful woman, and this year will be our 25th, actually. So,
congrats!
Yeah.
Any big plans, man? What's on the docket?
Yeah, we haven't really done any vacations for several years, so we got a big vacation planned at the end of this year. So that'll be our celebration. So we're definitely looking forward to that.
That's great. Good for
I also have a daughter, also a beautiful daughter who's 11 years old, and we actually adopted her from China, and she's just phenomenal.
Right. We have that in common as well. Our little guy, he's a little older. He's 18 now, but we got him as an infant as well.
Cool.
From China, Thai. Yeah. What's your little girl's name?
She's Michaela. Michaela's her name. Yeah. Michaela May. Yeah. And she is a gift from God for sure. She's awesome. So yeah, that's kind of that. before I got into Amazon, I was in technology for like 30 years. In fact, I worked for a good size hospital here locally, and I always kind of smile whenever I hear you talking about your Microsoft past, because while I was in that position, I dealt with a lot of Microsoft reps. So
Yeah, well, I was a reseller, so I don't know where those go in the IT department, but we're the ones that took you to lunch and tried to convince you to buy licensing. That was me.
yeah, well, that's it. We talked a lot of licensing, a lot of
Yeah.
Microsoft licensing in my day.
You'll put me to sleep if we stay on that subject too long, man. That was brutal.
Well, so anyway, I've always had an entrepreneur. Of course, I was working in the corporate world for that time. I always had entrepreneurial slant. I started actually a computer business, a retail store back in the late 80s, so a long time ago. And that never really succeeded. And so then I went into the corporate world and so forth. But I always kind of had that entrepreneurial spirit, that I wanted to do. So actually in the late 90s, I started on eBay, kind of about the same time you did probably. I didn't really, I was just selling stuff from around the house and never really made a business of it. And 5 years ago, I decided, all right, corporate world's, the technology was just getting me burnt out. So I decided to make a change, and actually became a realtor at that time. And I've been doing being a realtor for the last 5 years also. However, I never really took off as a realtor. I enjoyed it and so forth, but I don't know, just maybe it wasn't quite my thing. But 3 years ago, I decided, okay, this eBay, Amazon thing, and I hadn't really heard about Amazon. And somewhere I saw a podcast, or not I heard one of your podcasts or whatever, and maybe found your Facebook page. And I did read the Silent Jim book at that time, and I thought, oh, Amazon. So maybe I'll look into this. And so 3 years ago, I kind of started a business, although I didn't really do anything with it for quite a while. It wasn't really until September of 2019 that I decided that, okay, I'm really going to do something with this. And I got PAC. So I am been a PAC owner for a couple of years now, at least. And then I got Replens. I think it was about the time Replens started kind of getting bigger.
Yeah,
so
Replens has been a module for about 2 years in the proven Amazon course at this point.
So I was right there kind of at the beginning of that, and started just kind of piddling around, going into stores, and I can remember looking at clearance aisles in Walmart, trying to figure that out. And I found a couple deals, and it was good and everything, but nothing sustainable, really big. So anyway, near the end of September, I think I started taking Replens more seriously, and so started that. By the end of the year 2019, I had done 17,000. I think I did 10,000 or so in December. And then January, February, March, were pretty good. March had a big uptick. That was when COVID started, right?
Right.
So I think I was up to about 17,000. That was my best month ever. Well, then for personal reasons and just money reasons, I decided to focus more on my real estate. Plus, I had an opportunity there. So anyway, I focused on real estate for several months and did actually quite well with that. And the Amazon stuff, I was just kind of, my business went down like this on Amazon. I was still sending stuff in, but not real steadily. And then August of last year of 2020, I decided, okay, I still really want to get this Amazon thing going. And to get it going, I'm going to need to get some help. So I found a good friend who decided to be my prepper, pack and shipper. And so he started with me in late August. And then so September, October, November, all the way through December, things just started climbing. I think I hit 20,000 in November, which was a record. And then, so that was going good. I was still just working out of the house, with the room being used up with all the boxes and everything.
Sure. So this friend you hired came to your house to prep.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I'm always interested in the arrangements that people use.
Yeah, my wife is okay that because we knew him, and I was always here when he was prepping. So
sure.
So
do you show up early and make you guys coffee in the morning, or how'd that work? What time does he show up?
He was here usually, I think, by 9 or 10, something like that, and worked till 2 or about 2 o'clock or so.
Gotcha. But you didn't find it disruptive. Like it was all good. Like your daughter, Michaela, you said, like just totally normal and worked out well.
Yeah. Well, and he'd known her for quite a while too, because both families knew each other. We actually through dance. We met him through my daughter loved to dance, and his daughter dances, so they were good friends, and that's how we met. So yeah, but then come near the end of December. In fact, before that, I'm thinking I really need to get a warehouse, because trying to juggle that and really build it, it was time constraints, because I had to be here and couldn't be out shopping or whatever. And so I decided I really need to get a warehouse so that he can come and go as he pleases. And, and it just will work out much better. So through him, actually, he found a guy that has, we could share space with, and it was a phenomenal deal. And it's like, okay, this was meant to be. So we moved into a warehouse in January. And of course, since then, the business has just been going up and up and up and up, right? We almost hit 50,000 in June. I think it was 48 something in June. And so July is going to be a little bit slower. And because
as we're recording this, we're coming in the tail end of July here, I guess you could say. And so summer can be a slower period, but it's like that little last chance to take a deep breath before Q4. That's kind of what July and August are. And then, man, it gets exciting again, is what I'm predicting. But so you hit 50 in June. What's your, if you don't mind sharing, approximate margin ROI? What's your take home on all that?
Sure. So, by the way, I just kind of want to talk a little bit about my Replan business, because I do it a little differently than, I wouldn't call it a standard Replens.
Awesome.
Because I, back when I first started, I was having a hard time finding things, as everybody does, right? It was just hard times. And then somehow I stumbled onto this, we have some regional stores that have sales all the time, every week they have sales, and good sales. And so I'm like, well, let's try some of this. This is easy to find Replens for. And so I started kind of focusing on those sales. So, I have a list now of over 2,000 items that, it cycles. So they're not always available. I can't always send them in. Sometimes I run out of stock and everything, but at any one time, I've got 600 or 700 active items that, that I'm selling actively, obviously. So, and they're all pretty good. My ROI, I think I calculate my ROI a little differently than most people do too, because not only do I add in the cost of getting the product and the cost to ship it to Amazon and all the Amazon fees, I pay my prepper by the item. So I know exactly how much each item costs.
Right. Okay. So you can get real accurate on your ROI.
Right. So I add that into my cost. And then shopping, I know exactly how much I pay myself right now, but I'm actually just hired a shopper, and we haven't quite started yet, but just hired a shopper. I know how much I'm exactly going to pay them. So I include that in my ROI calculations. And so my ROI, I kind of let it go down in the early part of the year, because I kind of started adopting Jimmy's 20% minimum, 25% minimum. And so my ROI was kind of going down there. It was still probably 60%, but I kind of did some calculations. I figured, doing that, I'm just doing a lot more work and getting less money. So I decided to increase my targets ROI again. And right now, for the last 2 months, everything I've sent in is over 100% ROI, including all those extra costs that I put in there into that ROI calculation.
That's phenomenal. So the way some people calculate ROI, we're talking 150 plus.
Right.
%.
Yeah, probably.
Right.
Yeah, because it adds at least 40, 50% probably.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. And just to recap your strategy, I've heard this before. There's a handful of people that do this. It's the Replan strategy the way we teach it, but you focus specifically on which of my replens are on sale right now, and you go clean those up.
Yeah.
And what that does, and I know but see if I hit the nail on the head here, Dennis, because I've gone through this before. You're buying it better than wholesale, especially if you start tracking with like the you get your credit card miles, maybe you got your bonus point, whatever the store is, and you get so many points, and you get freebies, and you get free gasoline or whatever. You start adding all that up, and suddenly you can compete with even Amazon on some of the most aggressive ASINs that are sitting out there, flying the stuff that sells 500 units a month on Keepa or whatever. That's great. You can get in the mix and you're making a few bucks.
Yeah.
You're not worried about people tanking the price because you're making a good profit because you've really stacked your discounts. Another way people stack discounts is they'll buy gift cards. Like they'll get a $100 gift card to the store for $90. Well, there's another $10, right, of potential profit for you as you go in. So you stack them, and it's no longer a mad hunt for those little unusual items that are hidden in the cracks. It's the stuff that's right under your nose, right? Am I speaking the right language?
Oh yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. I one of my stores that I shop from regularly, they give they have an award system. And heck, I've got about $300 worth of free groceries on that I can go buy. So, yeah. Those
I've got. Sitting right here next to me, just out of arm's reach. I got a rebate check yesterday for $400 and another one today for $140. Like, am I going to use that for my stuff, or am I going to use that for more replans? That's the decision, right? I probably should use it for replans to keep all the numbers square in the books. But that stuff just rolls in. You join those programs. It really adds up.
Yeah,
you can be very price competitive too on those ASINs that are flying out the door with maybe 20 or 30 other sellers. Are you playing in some of those arenas where there's a bunch of sellers? I'm imagining you probably are.
Yeah, and the prices still go below where I want to be a lot of times.
It happens.
So some things I have to drop off, but then there's a bunch of other stuff I add on. Oh, by the way, I also this is the 5th week now. I hired a VA from the Philippines. That now, because one of the things I was not taking the time to find new products as much as I should be, just because I didn't have time. So I decided I need to do something about that. So the way I do my product research is I just go take pictures. Today, a new sales started at one of my stores, so I went and took pictures, and now I just send the pictures to him. And he goes out there and does the searching for me, and honestly, it's been phenomenal. He's like I said, we're in week 5 now, and he's approaching 1,000 new ASINs that he's found since he started.
That's awesome. People say this business is too complicated. How long did it take you? Well, I got 2 questions for you about your VA, because people are going to just light up about this topic. I know they do all the time. Like, where do I find an Amazon trained VA? You don't want an Amazon trained VA, in my opinion. I'm not sure what you got, but if you find someone who's trained on Amazon already, they might be working for 15 or 20 other Amazon sellers, and everything they learn with you, they're teaching to their other clients. I want someone that is competent, but not serving a bunch of other Amazon sellers.
Yeah.
And there's tens of, if not hundreds of thousands of these guys out there you can just Google, I want to hire a VA. And we like the Philippines for several reasons. We won't go into it, but good job, great call. Philippines is the way to go for many reasons. Rattle them off the top of my head. They're very pro-US. They use the US dollar. They speak English very, very well. They love working for an American-based employer. You can get someone highly competent and organized and motivated for $5-10 an hour, and that money spends very, very well in their local economy. You multiply it by 3 or 4 to kind of do the math on how it spends. Many, many reasons that the Philippines makes sense. And maybe you have some things to add to that, but I just wanted to point that out, that you can go anywhere and find a VA. You don't have to find a service that trains people how to, Amazon VAs ready to go. Like, no, go find someone cold. That's my advice. And you found 1,000 new ASINs in 5 weeks by taking pictures of store shelves, so the inventory is available, and having them do the research.
Yep.
How long did it take? Talk us through that. I want to hear.
Probably took me.
And if I messed up any of that description, fill in the gaps.
No, that was perfect. You're exactly right. No, it was only 3 or 4 hours, maybe, on a Zoom call with him to teach him how to do it. He had a little experience working for another seller, searching for things. So, but I showed him the tools I like to use and gave him my criteria, and off to the races. He was phenomenal right from the beginning.
Yeah. So, which tells me anyone can learn to do this in 3 to 4 hours if they're competent and they pay attention to details.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, that's what it is. If you go into the Proven Amazon course and you grab the Replens module and you go through that, that's 98% of what you'll ever need, that 3 or 4 hours of the content. There's always little ways to improve on what your processes are, but that's awesome. I love that. Okay. So you trained him over Zoom.
Yeah.
And that's it. You're just 5 weeks in and you found 1,000 ASINs.
Yep.
That's
and it's now I'm starting to got to figure out, and my goal was to get to where, every week I've got the sale items down, and then I want to start branching out into normal replens, which I have at any one time, probably 10% of what I have out there is just normal priced replens that I've found. They're just at normal prices.
And what's the advantage there? I mean, I know, but why would people always say, well, why are you looking for normal replens if you got these sale ASINs? How does that make life easier if you have normal replens that are full priced retail?
Yeah, well, it is nice to be able just to, when I do run out low on stock, to be able to just go out and get it and send it in, and not run out of stock. Because obviously, when they run out of stock,
you got to wait for another sale.
Yeah, exactly. Plus, at some point, I'm going to hit a max, of how much I can sell of those, and so to increase to grow the business farther, then I believe I need to have the normal replens to do that. So, so that's why I'm working on that also. So.
Well, there's a gentleman in our community who's done some work for us and with us he regularly hits well over $1 million in sales. He's been doing it a few years now, using the exact strategy you do with a very small team. I think it's him and 2 people. And it's primarily one store, 90%
Target.
plus.
JR, you're talking about?
That's it. Nailed it. Yep, you set up. So he's inspired a lot of people to consider, hey, why not just go the sale route, right? And just buy stuff. Because when you look, a lot of times at the major retail stores, the ones even everyone's heard of. Now, Walmart doesn't have sales. Pretty much everybody else does. And if you look at their sale prices, they're the stuff that they use to get people in the door. If there's no limit purchase quantity, those are safe bets a lot of times. Just snag them. That's a great way to get started even. It's just, and you start stacking those discounts and gift cards and that kind of thing. And pretty soon, even if you had a wholesaler supplying, you couldn't beat the pricing, right?
Right.
Inspirational, man. I love it.
Yeah, so that's it. I mean, as I said, I just hired a shopper. I've been the shopper for this whole time, and so decided that I need to, get some help doing that because I've got other things I need to work on too. And so she should be starting here soon, and within the next week. And I just expect things to, start climbing even stronger again. So right now I'm at 270,000 for this year. I expect I probably will hit 700,000 by the end of the year. I would guess if things go the way I expect.
That's awesome. Any plans for Q4? Are you changing the game up at all as we get closer to the last 3 months? Any new products in the mix? Or are you just playing the same game you play the rest of the year, just more people shopping?
Yeah, I mean, I don't have any intentions. I'll look at that, I'm sure. But, so far I've been so busy just doing this, that I haven't had time to concentrate on. In fact, last December was December went down from where November was. But then January picked up quite a bit. So December wasn't a big deal for me.
Replens is stable in that December isn't necessarily the big impressive month.
Yeah.
That it is for some other sellers who have like a holiday specific private label item or something. They rely very heavily on that November, December, Christmas sales. Replens, it's the same old boring products people buy all year round,
The first December that I did, I had gone out and, bought toys and a bunch of other stuff. My category mainly is 95% grocery at this point. So
you talked grocery. Okay. How do you handle and manage the expiration dates? Any lessons you could teach us there? What do you do there?
Well, be careful, obviously. I had one customer say that one of my items came in, expired already, which we've always been very careful about, double checking and making sure that we're sending it in with at least 105 day. I've increased I've increased that now to be a minimum of 120 days. And I mean, I have a spreadsheet that I use for my shopping list, and I calculate the date right on there so that when I'm out shopping and when my shopper's out shopping, they can see the exact minimum date that they can buy of something. So, yeah, it's definitely something you need to be careful of because you don't want to be flagged for that if possible. So,
Now, that's interesting. You've got we use our own in-house shoppers sheet too. Now we're using Replan Dashboard, and we've got a handful of other tools that we've kind of implemented in, but it seems like everybody kind of gets their own process. But we've putting that date on there, what automatically calculates, it's an easy formula.
Yeah. Yeah.
What date is 120 days from right now? Let's put that at the top. Don't buy anything before this date.
Right.
Right.
Exactly.
That's a great idea. I think I'm going to add that onto our spreadsheet when we get off this
Yeah,
call.
I wasn't doing that, and then when this happened, I'm like, okay, what can I do to improve my chances of not doing that? And I thought, hey, why don't I do that? So
that's a great idea. Yeah, we've got like 7 shoppers, and I'm one of them. I don't do it a lot, but I do it enough to be dangerous, as does everyone else. It's kind of like we don't have a full-time shopper. We have 7 of us who spend somewhere between an hour and 6 hours a week shopping. That's kind of instead of having that shared spreadsheet has been just invaluable for us. But that's a great idea. I'm going to do that right now when we get off here. So tell us more of your story. What else have you done? You're aiming for 700,000 this year, which it sounds to me like you're on track to hit, which is beautiful. You've got another VA now, 1,000 ASINs. That's a lot of shopping. That's a lot of buying. Are you buying all of those?
No, like I say, any one time I have 600 to 700. Actually, my list has grown to over 2,000 now. So, however, at any one time, I'm probably buying 130 to 150 different ASINs every week. It's been about my average, I think. But that's growing now with my VA. It's becoming a bigger number every week.
What are you paying the VA? I'm curious. We kind of breezed through that. I took a stab. I said $5 to $10 an hour, but what do you pay?
He was very inexpensive. He's a younger guy, and just he was hungry and looking for something. And in fact, it's so low that I've kind of decided that as he finds things and I successfully sell them, then I'm going to give him a little bonus. And it's a little bonus, but to him, it'll be much a bigger percentage of his
for
pay.
sure.
So
because again, the dollar spends in the Philippines. That's part of the beauty of it. You got to multiply it by 3 or 4 or more in some cases. And we had a VA work for us one time, and this has been a few years back. I think we were paying either $8 or $10 an hour. I don't remember which it was. And he was in the medical field. I'm thinking, okay, well, he's like a nurse's assistant or something. Like, no, this guy had a medical degree.
Wow.
And he was thrilled, making twice as much working for us as he was working at the clinic where he worked for $8 or $10 an hour. So, the dollar goes a long way in the Philippines. It's got me thinking, man, I might be moving to the Philippines.
Like, cost of living is certainly a lot cheaper.
Oh my goodness, the cost of living there is just so much different. But you're amazed at the quality of the education. And again, they love Americans. They love America. You look at the history of our two nations. It's a very friendly relationship and very pro-capitalism, pro-e-commerce economic activity, and just there's so many of them that are looking for work too. So great call on that.
There was a lot of good candidates. There was a lot of good candidates when I.
No shortage. We've actually got a short training in the Proven Amazon course that talks you through how to hire and find a VA. But even if all you do is, I generally tell people that you want someone who can speak English and understand you well enough that it's not a challenge to communicate. So I like to put a little video instruction together, regardless of what service I'm using to find a VA. I put a little video like I'm doing right now. If you're watching us on YouTube, you can see the video and just say, hey, here's the job. Here's what it's going to involve. I need you to reply back to me with a video, please. And the first thing I need you to say is the phrase XYZ, whatever, just make up a phrase. And I need you to type that out in your response as well. So I can scroll through super fast because you'll get 80 plus responses back, and you can scroll through and see who followed your instructions with the written instruction. And then of those, you can see the video and see, did they communicate well? Can I understand them? Were they able to understand me? All right. So that's a good way to narrow it down, just as a tip. shit for the listeners, but it sounds like you found a great one. So great work, man.
Definitely.
Well, what are the missing pieces of this story that we could share with everyone? Any other little tips or strategies or tools, or, let's talk. You said you had some books even. I want to get into whatever else you had on your mind.
So, well, one of the things I highly recommend is, I'm not really an accountant, and I have an accountant. However, I do most of the basic book work, and I use Quicken and so forth, but QuickBooks. But one of the systems I found a couple of years ago when I first started all this is the Profit First system. And in fact, there's a Profit First for e-commerce written by a lady that kind of adjusts it. And I just love it because it makes sure that you keep all your, make sure that you have enough money for getting new inventory. Once you sell it, you always put away, the amount of money that at least that you spent on it, or that you sold in inventory, so that you can replace it. But it also has you put aside money for taxes, for your normal expenses, for your, pay if you want to get paid, and a profit account. And I like the profit account because every quarter you're supposed to draw some money out of that to show, to take advantage of the fact that you're actually, making some money. So, because a lot of times people don't take the money out at all. And, it's not a lot, but it takes something out, and that's fun money. And, it's great. So in fact, our 25th anniversary vacation will be paid by that probably. So
awesome.
So
where are you guys going? Cool. If you don't mind sharing, you didn't say.
We're going to go to Helen, Georgia. We love it up there in the mountains, right around Christmas time. It's beautiful. It's a little German town in Georgia, but it's in the mountains. Lots of hiking trails around there. Just rent a cabin.
Sounds beautiful. Never heard of it. That sounds great.
Yeah, it's very cool. So, that's what we're doing there.
Enjoy that, man. Well earned. Well, so what other books? Books, tools, that sort of thing?
Yeah, I've just used the standard tools. Basically, I have Inventory Lab for managing my inventory and shipping, doing the shipping, and I use Replen Dashboard, although I don't use it as built. I use it to gather the data, and then I export the data into my spreadsheet, which does figures out exactly what I need to buy and everything. I'm a database. I was a database administrator when I left technology. So like you, I've got this complicated spreadsheet that that does everything basically.
Yeah, I nerd out with spreadsheets too. So we could probably have a lot of fun and lose everybody else talking advanced formulas and strategies with spreadsheets. Yeah, it's a good skill to have. That is one thing from my traditional education, my college education, that I probably walked away with benefiting from, very valuable, was learning to use spreadsheets and learning to use them well. But that's another area too, where you can find people, all over the world, Philippines, Pakistan. I had someone offer to just do some ridiculously advanced work for us, spreadsheet for, $5 an hour. It's crazy what you can get done. But yeah, we've got a similar setup, it sounds like. But Replan Dashboard, Inventory Lab, I'm assuming Keep is in the mix.
Oh, yeah, Keep, of course. And then I used RevSeller for a while, and it was good, but I found AZ Insight, and it just had a couple extra features that I liked. So I've been using AZ Insight for calculating the profit margins and stuff like that. So that, and let me see, there was something else. Sorry, I left my mind.
No, that's all right. Any other books?
I tell you, one of the things that real estate did for me is it kind of, I went through a lot of different books on, there was one thing called The One Thing. There was a book called The One Thing, which is kind of geared toward real estate, but it's really geared toward anything. And it basically what it is, it's about what's the one thing that you can do today that is going to make it so that you don't have to do more stuff tomorrow. In other words, it's the one thing to focus on in your business that will really make a difference in where you're going. And, for instance, me hiring that VA was one thing that could free up a ton of my time and also get me better results. And so you work on that one thing until you get it solved, and then you go on to the next thing. So
that's a great example. It sounds like a book that challenges you, and I've heard of it, the book, I've never read it, but it challenges you to step back and say, which of the processes that I'm involved in are taking up all of my time? And is there anything I can do to make those more efficient or better? Or, I phrase it in my business philosophy as work yourself towards doing only the things that only you can do.
Right.
And you're slowly stepping away until you've completely stepped away, and you've got a self-sustained system that's cranking out better results than if you were trying to do all of it yourself. That's the goal. That's what an entrepreneur is. Another book along those lines that I like is the E-Myth by Michael Gerber. Have you read that one by any chance?
I haven't read it, but I've heard of it. Yeah.
You know the premise.
Yeah.
Just because you're good at making pies doesn't mean you're going to be a great owner of a bakery. It's a different skill set entirely to think like a business owner. And he talks through, the difference between being that person that does the work and that person who owns the business. And sometimes you're both, and that's fine, but you want to make that process, progress away from being the one that does all the day-to-day work. That's what a business owner or an entrepreneur is. I love it.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's pretty much it. I'm just going to continue to build. I do work this full time now. I'm not, I do intend to get back into real estate some once I get things really cranking with other people. So, but however, right now this is it. And it's been doing great. Love it. I enjoy it immensely.
Oh, that's phenomenal.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for being a part of our community and volunteering for this episode. And unless you got any other final tips or thoughts or strategies, I'll go ahead and start to wrap this one up. Any final thoughts for the listeners or final pieces of advice, maybe?
No, I think it covered pretty much everything. It was a pleasure.
It was a great episode, in my opinion. Definitely some really good nuggets in there. I'm going to go change my spreadsheet as soon as we get off of here. And I think some people are going to be looking for places where they can go hire a VA too. And again, there's some training in the Proven Amazon course, the basics of how to manage that if you want to jump in, and that's part of the training modules we have. But it's not a complicated thing. Yeah. So it certainly changed your life, it sounds like, Dennis. So sounds like the sky's the limit too, man.
By the way, I did join Jimmy's mastermind thing.
Oh, the Advanced Replens Mastermind. Yes.
Yeah.
As we're recording this, it's full, but we'll do it again in the future. Yeah, you're going to benefit tremendously from that. It's a few dozen sellers from our community got together, and it's basically anyone selling over $10,000 a month or more. If you go to that website, we'll probably have a waiting list for the next time. AdvancedReplensMastermind.com is it. I'm proud of myself for remembering that one. But yeah, you're going to have a great time going through that with other people who are kind of in a similar stage or about where you are, Dennis. I think you're going to really enjoy that. So congrats on joining that group. But I'll talk to the listeners here as we start to wrap this one up. Hopefully you enjoyed this as much as Dennis and I did. You're welcome that we didn't nerd out about spreadsheets too much, because we easily could have done that, and we didn't. That was our little gift to you. But hopefully you picked up some really great nuggets from this today. And if you like this kind of conversation and you like this kind of camaraderie, man, there's 65,000 plus of us all hanging out in the free Facebook group all day, every day around the world. And there's a link to it in the show notes. It's the My Silent Team Amazon Seller Facebook group. You can find us pretty easily. I'd encourage you to join that. If maybe this is one of the first episodes you've ever listened to of this podcast, listen to 10 or 15 more episodes like this. I think you're going to get inspired. No matter where you live in the world, you can do this business, and we can show you how to do it. The Proven Amazon course is the course that most people use on that journey from our community. Jump over and grab that if you haven't yet. It's just $29 a month, and you can stop anytime. You're going to love that. But hey, I'm going to land this episode right now by saying God bless all the business building warriors who are out there. Thank my friend Dennis for joining us today. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
We'll have another great episode just like this one again for you real soon.